Hello my dear friends, I hope you all are doing good. This is Prashant Mauni and I warmly welcome all of you to the Hindu analysis of StudyIQ. Today is Sunday. I'm sure you have some sort of plan to enjoy your Sunday today, and you should have it, of course. With this, dear friends, today I found two interesting pictures in the Hindu. The first one is of Marcos Marine Commandos, as you can see on your screen. And one thing before we move ahead to the second picture is that we know that the commandos and the boys and girls from Navy, Army, Air Force, right, they have or people pay huge amount of respect to the uniform services, particularly associated with Army, Navy and Air Force. At the same time, we have other uniform services, and this picture again you find it in the Hindu today. And this is of course about police, isn't it? And dear friends, nowadays we have seen that throughout the world, most of the terror attacks that do take place, they take place in urban setup, isn't it? And for that, the first line of defense is a police force. But when you have a police force that is being brutal or is not that respected, or you can say professional, then this creates a big security vacuum, isn't it? And the reason why I'm discussing this two pictures with you is because security is a big thing. Terrorism is one of the biggest challenge through which humanity is going through at present. And for that, of course, you know it very well that we need a very, you can say, effective as well as efficient police force, or any sort of forces that are directly dealing with this sort of threats. So I will leave it on you guys to decide, right, why we have this sort of, you can say, paradox in our country. At one point of time, you have some uniform forces that are very well respected. At the other side, they are not trusted at all, you can say. So what are the reasons behind it? You can discuss these things in the comment section here. You can pass your views. May it be salary, may it be training, or whether it is the work culture itself. I will leave it on you guys. With this, dear friends, StudyIQ provides you with pen drive and tablet courses for various different examinations. You can know more about it from studyiq.com. If you have any question queries, you have the numbers on your screen. You can give us a call as well to sort out your queries regarding it. With this, dear friends, today is Sunday, as you know, and today we don't have editorials, but we have other items to discuss, the items that are important for your preparation. And with this, dear friends, as you know that on Sunday we do take a science and technology portion as well. So I have done that today as well. I have collected some important science and technological development that took place around the world from various sources, and we will discuss it in the end of this discussion. So first item that we have is pertaining to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not a new thing. I'm sure you know about it, but let me give you a brief idea about what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is known as a cryptocurrency, right? And it is a sort of a virtual currency. The thing with Bitcoin is that it is not approved by the RBI. There are many other countries as well. They do not encourage use of Bitcoin, and one of the main reason is that it, as you know, that it is when it is not approved by RBI or other federal banks of different countries, then there is no guarantee of this thing, isn't it? This coin is basically run by an organization, right? And you never know in future, may it be today as well, they may you can say eliminate this thing, or they may close this thing called Bitcoin, and the money that has been invested by millions and millions of people around the world can be taken away in a flick, right? So this is the biggest risk. And if you go through the analysis of different experts that you would be able to find on CNN or BBC or Al Jazeera and other famous sources, then the gist that we get from it is that this is a sort of bubble, and this bubble can blast anytime. And God forbid if this sort of thing will take place, then many people will lose huge amount of money. With this, dear friends, it is also observed that bitcoins are used for various crimes that are investigated at present by police, narcotics control bureau, as well as ED of our country. And you know it very well that as it is not approved, as it is a virtual currency, anyone can buy it, and you can pay this money for whatever things that you have purchased with the help of this bitcoin. And this is promoting, you can say, it is making this criminal networks bit more organized. So this is the biggest threat that we have from bitcoin. And RBI has said that all the people who are using this bitcoin or dealing with it, they are doing it with their own risk. RBI or the government is not taking any sort of responsibility as far as bitcoin is concerned. With this, dear friends, second item that we have is Kuki, the cyclone called Kuki. We have discussed about it yesterday as well, and in our PIB, Press Information Bureau lectures, I have discussed with you guys regarding this Kuki. Kuki is a word, it is a Bangladeshi word, and the name of Kuki, or the meaning of Kuki, is eye. And the reason why it could be is because you know this cyclonic storms, right? The center of this cyclonic storm is known as eye of the storm. So this could be one of the reasons why we have this name. The other thing is that in yesterday's the Hindu, we discussed that this Lakshadweep island, this Kuki will, you can say, bypass this Lakshadweep island. But of course, because this is a big thing, it will have some sort of, it will create some sort of damage to our Lakshadweep islands. And it is also believed that it will take a turn and then it will head towards this coastal part of Maharashtra as well as Gujarat. One more important thing that I would like to share with you guys is that when it comes to geography questions that they ask you on geography, particularly in your descriptive exams, you can prepare for them from your NCERT standard 11th and standard 12th books, right? So there is no point for me to explain how cyclones are how they form and things like that. But the other things that are not mentioned here, I would of course like to share some things with you guys. And the thing is that all this sort of disasters that are associated with water, right, may it be tsunami or may it be this cyclones, what they do is they have a sort of second inning as well. What second inning means is that once this thing is over, you know that huge amount of water will enter in the land portion, and then you have sunshine, right after this thunder or this sort of cyclone. When you have sunshine, you have outbreak of many diseases, and this is also a big killer and a pain for the people. So this is a thing that you should keep in mind. And here you also find mention of Sumatra coast and Andaman Sea. So here is Sumatra, right? So there is a sort of another cyclonic storm is being created, and within a week's time it can hit Tamil Nadu as well as Andhra Pradesh as far as today's Hindu is concerned. And we have talked about this storm surge, right? If you don't know what storm surge is, then I would recommend all of you to check out PIB analysis video, as well as let me briefly tell you what storm surge is. You see, for example, this is the land portion here. This is your normal height, you can say, of your seawater. So you can do this experiment. I'm sure you know about this thing, that if you fill up a tub with water, and if it is filled up to its brim, and if you blow some air, then the water will of course come out of this tub, isn't it? In the same way, when you can understand that when you have this sea is covered with water, and when the very high speed strong winds, when they blow over this water, they will push the water here, and the water will enter in the land portion as well, and then this second inning thing and all these things will start taking place. With this, you can also understand that this salty water will destroy the top layer of the soil, so it will create trouble for agriculture, as well as for small islands like Lakshadweep, right? It can destroy flora and fauna as well. It applies to other big portion as well, but islands are more vulnerable to this sort of storm surge. With this, dear friends, the second item that we have is pertaining to a notification that was a sort of boiling point It was a topic on which much was written about, cow vigilantism and Hindutva agenda and things like that. And basically this year, around in May, Government of India issued a notification regarding Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. And what this is basically is that as per the earlier notification, right, or you can say the controversial notification, the sellers of all these bovine animals like cows, buffaloes, bulls and heifers and camels, if say for example if you are a seller, then you have to formally state or explain that why you are selling it, and you are not bringing your cattle in the market for slaughtering. This sort of explanation was required as per the earlier notification, and the buyers as well have to explain that they are not going to you can say slaughter these animals within the 6 months of the date of purchase. Now the thing is, dear friends, that if you observe, right, then you will find that nowadays there is a great demand of things that are made from leather, isn't it? And where does the leather comes from? The leather comes from all these different bovine animals. The other thing is that if you see the demand in not only in, when I say leather products, you can take shoe, you can take other your accessories, as well as the most rising trend that we see is pertaining to cars, you know, the seats and covers and everything. Nowadays there is a huge demand of leather. The other thing is it is quite strange that at one point of time we are one of the biggest meat exporting country in the world, Saudi Arabia, and there are other countries that rely directly on India's export of meat, and meat from all different animals, right, is exported from our country. And there are huge amount of a very large chunk of our population is associated with agriculture, and you know that there is a sort of life cycle of any animal, right? At some point of time they would be productive, but after that they become a sort of you can say a liability, or animals, they become a cost for the farmers, poor farmers. So for them it is of no use economically speaking, right? It is not productive and it is adding more burden to the farmer. So for them the best thing is to send them to the slaughterhouse, so that he can get whatever money he can make out of that animal. The animal is going to die anyway after a couple of months or year, and this can you can run this leather industry and things like that. Of course you have to think economically, you have to separate this religious sentiments that are associated with particularly cow in our country. So this is the real scenario in our country, and there are many small businesses. They produce a huge amount of livelihood for particularly poor people. They are relying on leather industry, and any sort of ban on leather industry is going to create economical distress for many people in our country. With this, dear friends, another item that is important is pertaining to Jammu and Kashmir. And a separatist leader, this one, his name is Abdul Ghani Bhatt. Mr. Bhatt has said that he is willing to talk with Dineshwar Sharma. You know that Dineshwar Sharma is a special representative of your Union government or government of India for Jammu and Kashmir, and he had his couple of visits in Jammu and Kashmir, and the last statement that came out from Dineshwar Sharma was that his visit has been productive, right, result oriented and things like that. We have discussed about that thing as well. I'm sure you remember it. The other thing is, dear friends, this is a part of our two-pronged strategy, right? One is to have discussion, and the other one is to deal with all these terrorists. Now you know that Dineshwar Sharma has been given complete freedom. He can have word with whomever he likes, but of course you have to keep in mind that this will not include Pakistan or terror groups, because as far as J&K is concerned, it is a matter of India, right? It is internal matter of India, so there is no point of discussing with Pakistan. And when it comes to terrorists, right, our forces are capable enough to talk with them, this terror people. So this is a good sign. It also indicates that when separatist leader is saying that he is ready to chat with Dineshwar Sharma, this indicates that the things are working, the results are visible, And the other thing I would like to add here is that if you see the statement of other separatist leaders, then they have not expressed anything like that, but this Mr. Bhatt has said this. So let's wait and watch how things will take place in real life. I should also mention here that he has also said, he has expressed his opinion that without involving Pakistan, no breakthrough on Kashmir is possible. Anyways, let's wait and watch. With this, dear friends, Mr. Trump and Modi sir had a word with each other over the phone pertaining to Global Entrepreneurship Summit. We know that Mr. Trump's daughter Ivanka Trump was the, you can say, the lead of this Global Entrepreneurship Summit. She was leading the delegation of USA, and this GES was all about women entrepreneurship and supporting economic growth globally. And women, of course, we know that 50% of approx population of human beings in the world consists of women. And if we are not able to create an environment in which they can reach their maximum potential, then humanity as well cannot reach its maximum potential. With this, dear friends, a first womb transplant took place in USA. This is not the something that has never been heard before. Sweden had it. Sweden got a breakthrough in this thing a couple of years ago. And why we are discussing this thing here? Because nowadays we know the way lifestyle of today's generation is changing, or has changed considerably. And with this, there are many non-communicable diseases that we are attracting because of our changed lifestyle. We know that nowadays you might have seen in many urban areas that fertility centers and other centers or other hospitals that are dealing with the reproductive system of human beings. We see that there is a rise of this sort of clinics and hospitals, and any sort of this sort of breakthrough in the world of science or medical science is going to bring happiness and cheer for all those families, right, who are going through this disease. So this is a good breakthrough. The second item that we have is pertaining to measles vaccination. Now, first of all, let me give you a brief idea about measles. As you can see on the screen, this is a sort of symptom of measles, and measles is a highly contagious disease, and it is caused by virus. And the name of the virus is morbillivirus genus, right? It is belonging to this morbillivirus genus family. And the thing is, vaccination, you know that vaccination is a preventive method or preventive form of dealing with diseases rather than being more curative. It is a sort of proactive step, and it is very important for a country like India because we are in the category of those countries, right, that account for 50% deaths of children that are under 5. Happening because of diarrhea and pneumonia. And the other thing is the vaccination. The good news that we have here is that measles vaccination can decrease acute respiratory infection as well as diarrhea. So this is a good thing. Respiratory infection, basically you can understand that nowadays we have this air pollution thing going on, and the most vulnerable, one of the most vulnerable group that you have is small children. So this proactive vaccination will help fight, not only it will protect our children from this respiratory infection, as well as it will tackle this measles as well. And one more thing is that, dear friends, it is, you can understand why it is important, because it is pertaining to our human resource, the future citizens of our country. Of course, you know that when the future generation is not healthy, then it is not the nation as well. You cannot say that nation is a strong and healthy nation. NASA's Voyager 1, which was from last 40 years, it is in space, right? I'm sure you might have heard about it earlier as well. And the reason why it is in news is because the thrusters, right, have been activated after 37 years. Can you imagine? For 37 years they were not in use, but now because of various technical reason, basically you have to you can say adjust this antennas, right, that are there on this spacecraft, and if you don't adjust this antennas, then you don't get information that this spacecraft has intercepted from the space. So if you want that, you have to adjust this antennas, and for that you use this thrusters. There are small fires, right, tiny puffs and things like that, tiny pulses or puffs, that as they are known as. So this thrusters were activated. Earlier on you use these tiny pulses, but these thrusters are a bit of big, you can say, fire, and this was done. So this is a good news. And with this Voyager 1, I would like to add here that it flew by Jupiter, Saturn and important moons of Jupiter and Saturn in the early days of its mission. So we are talking about what, 30 years, 35 years ago, or 30 years ago. With this, dear friends, earthworms may grow in Martian soil. Now this is a very big news again for humanity, because science is all about you never know, isn't it? The things that we think is not possible, it can be a very common thing in tomorrow's world. Say for example mobile, right? If you talk with someone in Mughal era that this sort of thing is possible, then someone will call you a fool, but a scientific mind will understand that this thing could be possible. You never know. So in the same way, we never know whether in future there would be a time when we would be human beings would be looking forward, or they would be migrating to different planet, and it could be Mars. And this experiment that earthworms may grow in Martian soil is important, because the role that is played by this earthworms, right? This research was conducted in the Netherlands, and here they have found that they can survive in the Martian setup as well. A sort of setup was done in this lab, and stimulating environment that you find in the sense the replica of the environment that you find in Mars was conducted here in the Netherlands this university research center. And you know, the main job of one of the most important role of earthworm is that they can add, you can say, they convert this, they break down and recycle this dead organic matter, and they make soil a bit more nutritious, isn't it? We have seen this sort of things, or in many advertisement as well. Neem coated urea, I'm sure you know neem coated urea, right? Government has been promoting this thing quite a lot, and they ask you questions on these things as well. What is neem coated urea, or the role of earthworms? Because this year we saw stubble burning taking place. It was in news, and with stubble burning, one thing or one drawback of stubble burning is that it kills all these earthworms, which is basically you are destroying your own soil, isn't it? And this will, for now you have to add more fertilizers and other things, so input cost will go up, and this is eventually going to be detrimental for the business of farming. So in this way, earthworms play a very important role. And if we want to migrate somewhere else, then of course, if earthworms are not able to, if they cannot survive, then we cannot have this you can say nutritious soil, and with this our food security and everything is associated with it. The second item that we have, which is very interesting, it is coming from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is in USA, #1 in the world. MIT is #1 in the world, and what they have found is that they have found that this emission from carbon dioxide, this carbon monoxide, can be converted and can be used as a fuel. Now you can understand that all the gases that we have, we can capture it and then we can convert it into fuel. So in this way we can fight greenhouse emission, as well as it can create new jobs. It can you can say help us diversify from this fossil fuel. And the other thing that I would like to add here is that many times you read this sort of things or research or researches that are being conducted by many universities. We find them in the newspapers, isn't it? Now let me tell you, the biggest difference is that these are called inventions, right? Inventions do take place in a lab setup, but innovation is a thing that when you can bring this invention into real life, means when people will start using it, or you can say something that you have invented, when you can bring that thing in the market, then you call it innovation. So this is invented now we have to wait whether it can be converted into innovation. With this difference, we reach to the last part of our today's discussion, and the answers are here: Sannyasi, International Monetary Fund. And the descriptive one, I have a very one line, but I believe that you would be able to understand this thing from it, that rainfall of course does take place in this monsoon season, but snowfall as well, which is part of precipitation, right? It takes place in the winter part, in the winter season, in the many northern parts of our Himalayan range of our country. So you can see that for a very long period of time you find some sort of precipitation taking place in our country. And in the winter time you have western disturbances, and you have this northeastern winds as well, which bring rainfall for Tamil Nadu and parts of Andhra Pradesh and parts of Karnataka. So these are some of the main reason why we call our climate as a monsoon type climate. And the second thing is the question that I have here for you is a sort of not a question but a debate, right? Then I would really appreciate if you can take forward this debate in the comment section of this video discussion, right? And the question is or the topic of this debate is that, can Asia-Africa Growth Corridor, can it counter Belt and Road Initiative? Now you can have yes or you can say no, but you have to logically explain this thing. With this, dear friends, I end this discussion here. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel for more interesting video that will help you immensely with your preparation. Don't forget to subscribe. This is my Facebook page here. You can follow me on the Facebook page, and I will share this PDF file for you guys on my Facebook page. And I hope that you too will share it with other guys. With this, dear friends, enjoy your studies, right? And I will see you all tomorrow. Till then, enjoy and Jai Hind. Goodbye.